I'd like to end Guantanamo. I'd like it to be over with. We would like to end the Guantanamo. We'd like it to be empty.
As president, I will close Guantanamo.
In the most unlikely of places, Guantánamo Bay, an extraordinary friendship was born between Mohamedou Ould Slahi, a detainee held for years without charge, and Steve Wood, a young National Guard soldier assigned to guard him. Through countless conversations, Mohamedou's unwavering faith, compassion, and forgiveness profoundly impacted Steve, leading him on a transformative journey that would forever change his life, ultimately guiding him toward Islam. This is the story of how an encounter in the darkest of circumstances illuminated the path to personal and spiritual awakening.
Muhammad was part of the reason I, found Islam. So I'm, praying every day, then fasting during Ramadan, and it was like, it really encouraged me to search out that path. And so when I got home, I continued my, studies, and I really looked up to him, just how steadfast he was in his faith.
Just like Steve, there are countless other stories. One such story is that of another guard, Terry Holdbrooks, who also found Islam during his time at Guantanamo prison.
My name is Terry Holdbrooks. I was previously in the military and was a guard in Guantánamo Bay, where I converted to Islam. Prior to joining the Army, I'd usually hang out at a pool hall. There's a pool hall that I would sit and play pool at for the majority of the evening. That and drinking. I was drinking very heavily. I joined the military due to the fact that I wasn't really going anywhere with my life. I wasn't content, and I wanted to be more productive than my parents had been. Kind of bring some pride to the Holdbrooks legacy. We flew to Ground Zero, so we could see Ground Zero that day. It was the last thing we saw of America before we left, was Ground Zero. I mean, they really drilled this intense necessity of hate and anger towards these people. And who are these other 775 people? I can't imagine there being that many co-conspirators. It just seemed kind of ridiculous to me. And obviously, as time has shown, we've sent 550 of them home now, so they weren't guilty to begin with. They were always smiling. There must be something in your faith or in your life that's lacking in mine, because I'm here and I'm not smiling every day, but you are. That's amazing. What do you have that I don't? More often than not, the detainees' prayer itself, prayer call, would be mocked. What they'd be saying during prayer would be mocked. The Army doesn't care. It's just not a matter of concern, right? We don't need to be culturally sensitive or culturally aware of these people. I don't think they ever thought that individuals were going to be talking with the detainees. Detainee 590, the general, he was kind of a celebrity, so to say. He would ask you questions that would probe thinking. It wasn't necessarily he was trying to argue with you. He would ask you questions that would make you think. He introduced me very much to Islam. He had a lot to do with my acceptance of Islam. I said my shahada with him, and he congratulated me. I think it's very much possible to fully adopt to Islam and to live an Islamic life and to be a good Muslim, and at the same point in time be an American. One of the things I've noticed since my conversion, with every door that I close, Allah opens a better door. I found Islam in Guantanamo, and it's not something that I could ever find anywhere else.
Mohamedou, who had endured years of torture and isolation, displayed remarkable resilience. Steve began to see Mohamedou not as a detainee, but as a person with dreams, a family, and most strikingly, a deep spiritual faith. Mohamedou's ability to forgive, to find peace in faith despite everything, was something Steve had never encountered. Over time, Steve found himself drawn to Mohamedou's quiet strength, and the subject of religion naturally emerged in their conversations. Mohamedou never sought to convert Steve, but instead shared his beliefs openly, explaining the principles of Islam, patience, forgiveness, and the pursuit of inner peace. Steve, who had grown up with little connection to religion, found himself deeply moved. He was struck by the serenity Mohamedou found in his faith, despite the horror and injustice of his situation. Mohamedou's practice of Islam was not one of rigidity, but one of compassion and introspection. His prayers became a source of strength, and he encouraged Steve to explore his own spirituality, not by force, but through simple example.
It's very hard to say someone is your friend if that someone has so much power over you, including terminating your life with no consequences whatsoever. That is a hell of a relationship.
As Steve continued his conversations with Mohamedou, something shifted inside him. He no longer saw himself as just a guard. He began to question the justice of the situation at Guantánamo and the broader treatment of detainees like Mohamedou, who had been held for years without formal charges. The bond between them grew, transcending the walls of the prison. Mohamedou's humanity, his ability to forgive and find grace even in the face of immense suffering, left an indelible mark on Steve's conscience. Slowly, Steve found himself adopting Mohamedou's perspective. Choosing peace over anger, compassion over judgment. He started reading more about Islam, not as an obligation, but out of genuine curiosity. Eventually, Steve made the personal decision to embrace Islam. His conversion was not the result of pressure or persuasion, but a gradual, internal transformation, one inspired by the quiet dignity of a man he had once guarded.
When you are like that, you cannot eat, you cannot drink, you cannot do anything, and you cannot sleep, mostly. You cannot sleep, and you just like waiting to die. You know, this is like the worst manifestation I had. I wake up sometimes, just like 3-4 nights ago, I woke up and I was shaking, so scared, because I saw my jacket on the door, and I thought it was someone coming to get me. And it took me a very long time. Sometimes I wake up, I cannot breathe, you know, but I'm facing this, you know, because like getting your duck in a row.
In a place known for its darkness, some soldiers find light. They find a sense of belonging in Islam, drawn not by force or coercion, but through the powerful examples of individuals like Mohamedou, whose quiet strength speaks louder than any words. Steve's and Terry's story is one of many, illustrating that even in the most unlikely circumstances, understanding and empathy can bridge divides and sometimes lead to life-changing transformations. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment and subscribe, as it will help the algorithm to promote the video to many more audiences. Consider this as an act of charity. Until next time, stay vigilant.